Episode 2 of the Owl House's sophomore season kicks things into a higher gear, as not only do we have the Clawthorn sisters witch-playing glyph magic, but we finally have the proper introduction of Amity's parents, Odalia and Alador Blight, alongside seeds being planted for the larger narrative at hand. As always, we're going to run through this episode for details you may have missed, as losing Amity's A-plot was certainly packed with a lot of little things that are easy to miss the first time around. Spoiler warning in case you have yet to see this episode, and congratulations to the Owl House for winning a Peabody Award. You love to see it. And to stay in the loop of all things Owl House, please be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. I know, begging before the video even begins. The YouTube overlords say it works, okay? On to the show. This episode wastes no time giving us a proper introduction to Odalia and Alador Blight, parents of Amity, Edric, and Emera, all of whom are involved with the family business, though I have a feeling it's not exactly by choice. The present-day reveal of Amity's parents felt like a subversion in itself, at least to me, and I've seen that sentiment around the internet. I think this is a thing that viewers who keep up with the show as it airs will experience, but not necessarily future viewers of the series who get to binge watch from Season 1 straight to Season 2. Season 1 had a big focus on Hexside Academy, which was encouraged by higher-ups at Disney, and by encouraged, I mean there wasn't much of a choice. They think it'll make the show more appealing to kid demographics. Star vs. the Forces of Evil had a similar situation in its first season. Because Hexside was so prominent in the first season, alongside Amity, Edric, and Emera's academic achievements, it felt like we were being led to believe that Odalia and Alador would be high-ranking witches, involved within the affairs of their covens. I suggested numerous times they could be coven leaders. But instead, we have Elon Musk and Tony Stark. Either way, that nice house checks out. Still, when you have so much time to speculate in your head how a character could be, it's always a little bit surprising to see how things play out in canon. But for people who are able to just go from one episode to the next, they'll have much less time to build up Amity's parents in their head, getting acquainted with the real deal sooner than later. But we also have to remember, we saw this flashback from Amity's perspective. So while I believe Odalia and Alador are very flawed parents, and their actions, especially Odalia's, have been sinister up to this point, another reason why they come across kinda goofy in person is because that is kind of who they are. They're way more intimidating from Amity's perspective. Those are her parents. So every word, every action is going to cut that much deeper. Odalia and Alador combined their strengths as Oracle and Abomination witches to run Blight Industries, a subsidiary of the Abomination Coven, where they repurpose Abomination magic with technology, producing an arsenal of weaponry for private investors to enjoy. Private not only to try and keep Emperor Belus' nose out of the Blight's business, but with Odalia and Alador's capitalistic mindset, private clientele will likely pay top dollar for their products. Amity's amulet, found in her casual attire in previous episodes, is more than a fashion accessory. It's a direct link Odalia has with her daughter, utilizing her oracle magic to communicate with Amity. In this case, using Amity's slipping race to pressure her into giving a good performance for this conference. If this ability seems a little bit familiar, it's eerily close to Belus' telepathy as seen in Agony of a Witch, although not nearly as heart-pounding, literally. Considering Emperor Belus initially split the magic of the Boiling Isles into the Coven system, it makes sense that his freaky, omniscient powers are just an unrestricted amalgamation of abilities found in the Oracle Coven. That being said, wealth and a great handle on Oracle magic could place Odalia as an MVP against taking down Emperor Belus in the future, should the Blights decide to stand against him. And as we're making this video, a synopsis for an upcoming episode has revealed that yes, a rebellion against Belus is in the cards. And the ending of this episode certainly provides a reason for them to stand against him. And while we're on the topic, I also found it neat to mention that Lilith's spying spell at the end of Separate Tides was likely Oracle magic, considering its purple hue, which means the protagonist already have an advantage at mastering this form of non-bio magic. Alas, Amity nearly loses her photograph of her new friends from Grom, and ruins the illusion, causing investors to cancel their pre-orders on the spot. Odalia promises that this meeting was nothing more than a pre-show, scrambling to plan something bigger and better. But of course, she has to fuck up her daughter's mental health first. Luz returns to Hexside for the first time since the field trip to the Emperor's castle, reuniting with Willow and Gus, the latter of whom has gone through a sudden growth spurt, witch puberty, now making Gus almost as tall as Willow, with a sharper facial structure and a deeper voice.
We'll get back into Hexside or die trying.
Now, I'm assuming the team's reason for updating Gus's look actually ties into the whole deeper voice aspect, as his voice actor, Isaac Ryan Brown, likely went through real-life survive puberty between the voice records of seasons 1 and 2, forcing his character to mature overnight. Honestly, I love this change. I just love sharp edges in general with character design, and of course, I've gotten constant comparisons to looking like Gus since the moment his character was revealed. So now I can say a sudden voice drop in high school is another thing I have in common with the fictional character. Unfortunately, Luz's return is quickly derailed by Odalia piercing the hallways of Hexside with her grown-adult Azula voice.
We are the Parent Creature Association.
We defeated you for all time.
Summoning the gang to Bump's office. Odalia uses the offense of I was a teenage abomination, something ventured, something framed, and enchanting Gromfright against Amity's friends, effectively getting them expelled. Which makes me question how she obtained this information in the first place. Were these events recorded on the student files, or has Odalia been using her oracle magic to keep a closer eye on Amity than we initially imagined? Because if it's the latter, yikes dog, that is not how you have a healthy relationship with your child. Now, considering how Odalia addresses how these events endangered Amity, I feel like the offense of the first day should have been thrown into the ring, considering Amity wasn't even in something ventured, something framed, but I digress. But the gang getting expelled, despite how unfair it was, is a consequence that was made clear to Amity, as initially, Odalia and Alador threatened to have strings pulled so Willow would never be admitted to Hexside. So although they don't provide a proper reaction to learning that Amity is rekindling a friendship with Willow, having all of her friends expelled was something Amity should have saw coming a mile away. Of course, no shade to Amity. Screw her parents. Alador is tinkering with the demon on Bump's head. I seriously did not expect this man to be so quirky. He chases a butterfly with a terrifying human head a little bit later. He's just living in his own world having a good time. Although, I am left wondering, how much is he acting on his own free will versus how much he's abiding to his wife's orders until there's something he strongly disagrees with? Also, there is incredible line work on the shot where Odalia crushes the butterfly Alador's chasing, proceeding to hand loose a business card. It reminds me a lot of the line work on the Sunman episodes of Steven Universe, especially in its earlier seasons. I'm hoping we get more of this animation greatness as the season progresses. I feel like this episode is the first time that the show really focuses on the fact that Principal Bump loves being a principal. He loves his students. And expelling Luz, Gus, and Willow is an emotionally draining experience for him. He's unable to veto the decision to expel the kids due to the Blight's influence. And he's shown spiraling more and more with each attempt to break into the school. Although I feel like we may get less of Hexside this season, at least in the way the setting was featured in season 1, I'm hoping there's much more Bump to come. He could easily be the wise and powerful figure found in various shonen anime, which of course serves as an influence on the Owl House, and makes him right for a character that can kick the bucket. And I'm not saying he will, but you know, every Disney show gets one, unless you're American Dragon where you commit mass genocide against the villains. They were gonna commit magical genocide though, so I guess it's warranted. I guess we can't always compare real life morality to cartoons. Who would have thought? Luz tries to woo Amity's parents by showing up with a lovely bouquet, only to be greeted by that. At least she tried to make them cute. I noticed that within the Blight laboratory are green, blue, and purple beakers, which I assume can be concentrates of plant, illusion, and abomination or oracle magic, which really makes me curious about how they could infuse different types of magic into their creations. Abomination extract is a no-brainer. Illusion magic piques my interest, considering Edric and Emera are in the illusion track, and plant magic makes sense for an organic substance that, like abomination magic, can be integrated in various ways. I hope we get to witness more of the Blight's process as the season continues. Though it is important to note that each abomination on stage has their own eye color. One has yellow eyes, one has green, one has blue eyes, so maybe there's something going on there. Actually, we do see a few different colored eye abominations in season 1. Although the purpose of the different eye colors are still unknown. I'm holding out that this means something. Maybe the blue-eyed abomination actually has some illusion magic imbued into them. If that's the case, I wonder what they're capable of doing, and if they're custom made for particular types of magic, as requested by the client. Willow's parents offer to homeschool their daughter, and one of their books read, The Life Cycle of a Common Swamp Toad, featuring amphibious Hop Hop on the cover and spine. I love how even in another show, Amphibia can't help but to throw us another death flag for Hop Hop. They just keep on piling up. Also, gotta applaud Willow's dads for not only being supportive of her studies, but her mischievous endeavors. In general, I'm loving the character interactions in Season 2 infinitely more than Season 1 already. You can tell that the writers are becoming just as comfortable with these characters as, well, the characters themselves are with each other. A great example in this episode is Gus's dialogue all around. His banter between Willow and Amity got a good laugh out of me.
I'll distract them with illusions of beautiful lady guards.
This isn't a cartoon!
cartoon from the 40s, Gus. We should just bust our way through.
You're stunting my growth as an artist.
Edric and Emma didn't even do much in this episode, but I still smirked when they helped the gang infiltrate the conference. It's good to see the Owl House utilize its large cast of characters, and I can't wait to see more of these character moments throughout the season. As Luce fights for her life against the Abomaton 2.0, which won't rest until its enemy is completely eliminated, I couldn't help but admire how much the action in the show has beefed up over the last few episodes, especially in direct comparison to Youngblood Old Souls, where Luce just kind of fired her glyphs willy-nilly. Here, there's an actual strategy behind her glyphs, and they managed to make every spell stand out. Whether if it's breaking off a sword from shattered ice, swinging from vines like she's Spider-Man, or defusing the Abomaton's blast with a fireball. Amity swoops in to save the day, and during this sequence with a banging soundtrack that you can stream on Brad Freak's YouTube, I found myself captivated by the reactions of Amity's parents, mainly Alador. Whereas Odalia lashes out at Amity the entire time, forcing Amity to smash her amulet into pieces to liberate herself. Alador initially appears terrified at the sight of his daughter going toe-to-toe with one of his creations. He knows how dangerous the Abomaton is, and there's probably some guilt running through his mind. But as soon as Amity begins to hold her own against the machine, Alador's expression shifts from concern to intrigue, making note of Amity's own magical prowess and growth thanks to her friendships with Luce, Gus, and Willow. And once Amity stands side by side with Luce, we can see that intrigue is upgraded to pure pride, with a big old smile on his face. Odalia and Amity reach an agreement, but of course, Odalia attempts to go back on her own word. Before she's interrupted by Alador, she begins to make an interesting threat, pointing to her eyes and stating,
I'll make sure they can't.
Odalia!
Was she threatening their eyesight? Considering Oracle magic deals with the all-seeing and the all-knowing, I think this moment was actually hinting at a dangerous ability of Odalia's that could come back into play at a later point in the story. Still, the kids are unexpelled and the day is saved. Well, for Luce and Amity at least. As Odalia and Alador have a sudden visit from the Golden Guard, who reveals that Emperor Bellows has an interest in acquiring their army of Abomatons. Not just for his own benefit, but so citizens won't have a private army underneath his nose. Sketchy! As for Ida and Lilith's subplot, we got to see the Clothorn sisters learn the ropes of glyph magic and the do's and don'ts. A lot of the subplot is hijinks with Ida, but the crucial information is, there are 4 main glyphs that represent the elements: light, fire, plant, and ice. In order to alter glyphs, they must be connected through a spell circle. They can't be stacked on top of one another like cards, they can't be overlaid, they can only be combined through the circle. As Lilith explains, glyphs don't contain magic, but command the magic around them. Magic that, if we piece together clues from Season 1, could be from the remains of the Titan that the Boiling Isles was built upon. Properly organizing and combining glyphs will allow them to be molded into different things. I'm really excited to see all the cool stuff they cook up, but there really wasn't much to look into with this subplot for me, since it in itself was a canonical breakdown of the magic system. But we'll be breaking down the magic of the Owl House as a whole at a later time. For now, what were your thoughts on this episode? Loved it? Hate it? Needed more? Between Alador and Odalia, which one do you think is the most ripe for redemption? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, or tweet your thoughts at Roundtable Vids. And for more of my own thoughts, you can find me at OstricVox. We're also on Instagram. Help Roundtable grow by either becoming a member of this channel or supporting us over at Patreon. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please throw a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. See ya!